Hi everyone, I'm Emma Wharton Love, co-founder of Spark AI, and welcome back to AI Summer School. And today I'm joined by EJ, one of our brilliant Spark AI coaches. Lovely to have you here, EJ. So in the summer school, we've been going behind the scenes of our AI Accelerator program, and that's where we work with agencies and in-house creative teams for a period of normally 3 months, and we really take you from experimenting with AI to a structured adoption approach to AI across the business. And each week over the summer, we've been sharing a short free demo or a framework, which is more like we're going to talk about today, from inside our Accelerator program. So to start with, Jules talked about prompting, then we had Meta who talked about client services, Matthew with creative, and today EJ is going to be talking about our AI for Leaders work stream, which is more, which is the sort of strategic side, less about the hands-on learning how to use AI, more about looking at what AI means for your organization. So we'll be looking really at one of the most important leadership questions right now about spotting the AI opportunities and risks in your business. But before we get into the detail of that, EJ, I'd love just to talk to you a bit about who you are, how you got into AI, all that kind of stuff. Do you want to tell us about you?
Yeah, it's a great question because reflexly my answer is I'm really not sure. I got into advertising because I liked art and psychology and maybe naively thought that's where they crossed over. And I got increasingly interested in design thinking, really digging into the details of how users think, how clients think. And so rapidly went into the technical side of agency life until I ended up becoming, like a butterfly, an executive producer who specializes in frontier tech. And what that means is if there's something weird that involves technology and it hasn't been done before, then people might find their way to my door. I've worked, so for the last 3 years now, that means a lot of artificial intelligence. So I've produced campaigns for brands like Deutsche Telekom, Garnier, Ernst & Young, and now O2, I'm right in the middle of one, that blends AI to tell more human stories to more people. So it's quite important to me, having cut my teeth working with amazing people, that AI is also about putting the human first and about creativity rather than a spray and pray approach to marketing and advertising. I also did a few stints around digital transformation, one of them for the government. So talking to agencies about how this frontier technology can help transform their companies and how they think and future-proof them and give them more opportunities and more creativity. This is my ideal positioning. So I'm delighted to work with Spark.
Oh, well, right back at you. We love having your perspective and hands-on experience and wisdom and all that good stuff, which will come out in this conversation, I'm really sure. So this topic today about like the opportunities and like find how to spot the opportunities and risks of AI in your business. It's a massive priority for leaders right now. But like, why do you think it's like such a priority? Why did you want to talk about this today?
Yeah, so I think right now sorry to say this, but I think it only actually becomes more and more urgent. So when AI was emerging, it was interesting and cool and kooky and not a lot of people were doing it. Now we're actually starting to see the results of the people who were doing it 18 months ago and 6 months ago. So it's not just about hype anymore. We can start to differentiate between what's hype and what's real. And we're starting to see the gains of people who've invested in it and people who've prioritized it. So I think whilst it is a bit nerve-wracking, I think it's more important than ever for people to engage at a really senior level.
I really agree. I mean, there is like you're saying, like quite a lead time on getting on those gains coming through. And something really interesting is at the moment we're putting together our 6 monthly benchmarking of where agencies are with AI, and the bit of a spoiler alert, but I did put a LinkedIn post out about this a couple of days ago, so I feel okay about saying it, is that what's really different between like now and 6 months ago is that there's kind of like, there's like a small pioneering cohort of agencies that are like really doing different things now to the majority, and they're kind of like pulled away from the crowd, and that's things around like really innovating with their services. It's around how they're structured, their culture, all that stuff, and so I guess it's really playing out in like the evidence that we're seeing as well. It's not just sort of like hearsay that we're picking up. It's
not weirdly unbelievable posts on Instagram, although they are still around, and we are actually seeing demonstrable differences. And I think when you have a foundational technology like this that is so powerful, it changes things to an order of magnitude that creates entirely different spaces.
Yes, like completely new things that weren't there before. And that's the exciting and the daunting thing and the risky thing. So on that note, shall we get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm just going to grab your slides.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. This is it.
All right. Yeah, so this is a little excerpt from our AI for Leaders, which never proves. It's such an exciting stream to run because it's so fascinating to have all these talented, brilliant and ambitious people in the room really starting to get to grips with what this what AI can mean for their business. So if we go on to the next one. So we all know this, but please remember that generative AI is the most disruptive technology since the internet, and maybe even since electricity. It really is going to change how we do almost everything. And that's from the wildly ambitious world landscape changing things to the really mundane. And so to that view, there's 3 ways that we at Spark categorize what you can do with AI. And those 3 buckets are automate, augment, and innovate. And this is a really useful lens when you're looking at anything, because you start to get a feeling of where do these initiatives sit that I can start? What do I want to change? And am I keeping a balanced approach for the health of my business? When I say balanced, that means it's quite good to have an eye on something in each one of these buckets, or several somethings in each one of these buckets. So AI can automate or semi-automate repetitive, low-value tasks, which means you don't need to do them. So something like localizing something into multiple languages. Just 18 months ago, this was super specialized work, and now it's incredible how quickly you can do it and how safely you can do it. The second one, augment, one of my favorites actually. So augment is about exploring things in more breadth and depth. Not necessarily saving time necessarily, although it can, but more about using the time you have to do more and explore more, and which means your creative outcomes and your strategic outcomes that have been augmented through AI, you're probably going to feel a bit more confident about them, and you're probably going to be happier with them because of that depth and breadth that you've achieved. And then, go on.
Do you find that augment is like the lowest hanging fruit? And because I know we really focus on augment in our accelerator.
Yeah, yes, it is the lowest hanging fruit, but it can be one of the most valuable. And the reason for that is augment is really about putting the human first and going, okay, so if this is me with AI, I can 10x what I already do. And that might mean I 10x myself in a way that gives me back more time. It might give me back more bandwidth. I might be making more money because I'm doing more of it. But it's just everything that you do, it can augment that. And it's the lowest hanging fruit because it's the easiest place to start, because you know who you are, you know what you can do, you know the things that you do, and you know them inside out. So it's easier to start dissecting them and seeing how AI can start to help you. The automate thing is something that everyone thinks is really easy, and it's actually not. To fully automate a whole process, and trust me, because I am not a person who likes admin, that's actually really quite hard. And that's why there's so many, I think, specialist products coming out. There are that do exactly that, because it kind of almost, you know, a lot of the time it does need a product team working on it rather than a person in an agency. Not that I'm saying you can't automate a lot of your stuff or daisy chain processes together. Of course you can, but it's actually a bit harder than it looks. So Augment is definitely the place to start, and it's also probably the one that makes people, dare I say it, the happiest, because it's you can start making good gains quite quickly.
Yeah.
And then moving on to Innovate. This is entirely different spaces, and I always think about I'm going to go on to some more examples, but a very basic example of this is the early days of websites, which of course I'm far too young to have been around for, but the very early days of websites, people put their brochures online because that's what they were like, oh, everyone can see my brochure, I can put my brochure online. And they would literally have like animated page turning on a website, because they were just trying to replicate a format. And then very quickly digital became wildly different formats. Look at VR, look at how advanced websites are, look at how artistic and creative and emotive digital content can be. All of that was in the future. You kind of start like for like, but then you can crack open brand new worlds, brand new services.
Yeah, it's about opening your mind to it and being able to crack that open. Yeah.
Do
you want me to move on a slide?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so the value to your client, and this is the bit that you have to kind of weigh up when you're responsible for your business. Automation is very quickly going to become commoditized. So if you can automate it, or you're using a product that automates something for you, to put it bluntly, that becomes something you would probably have to change how you charge for it if you're an agency. So there's a lot of products. I think this is the year of like buying expensive AI products, and I think that's going to settle down a little bit, and the really useful ones will make themselves known. That's an area where you have to be prepared of what can be automated to take busy work away from people and give them, the opportunity to do more human work, valuable work, but also recognize that that's going to probably change a little slice of your business. So in terms of value, it's something that people are going to be doing, but that's not something you can charge your client a lot of money that you can do, unless you've invented something insane, but then your automation would flip up to the top and become innovation. The second one, augmentation, this is where it augments you, as I was just saying. And this will very soon become the new normal. It's not yet, it's nowhere near yet, but the rate and the pace of change is high with this technology. And the effort that you put in, how keen you are to experiment, how keen you are to incentivize your staff to experiment and give them time to do this in structured and pointed ways, is really going to start making a difference very, very quickly. Because this is something that the beauty of this technology, it's not coding. You don't have to be a maths brain or a science brain to use this. You just have to be a human. And if you can think quite clearly and write quite clearly and marshal your ideas, you can leverage AI technology in a way that is like, we just haven't seen anything like this. And so that also means that it's an opportunity for everyone. This doesn't belong to the elites or to a certain type of person. This is absolutely, access is open to everyone right now to take advantage of this. And that's also why augmentation, I think from a business point of view, is very, very exciting, because to me, that starts creeping into productivity, that starts creeping into satisfaction at work, being happy and thrilled with what you're doing, feeling powerful and feeling like you have autonomy. All of those good things, I think, start to come out quite quickly in that middle band.
But all those things that you just listed are all the things that businesses until now have struggled with the most. Ironically,
I know.
Like the paradox.
Yeah, we're having the same conversations over and over again. But the truth is that human behavior doesn't change, and where humans find their satisfaction doesn't change.
Yeah. And this is So this is why I am personally really excited about AI, for exactly those reasons. Do you want me to pop on another slide?
Well, let me just quickly say a line about innovation, because I know we all know what innovation means. Innovation means something new that somebody will pay for in this scenario. But the more you do that middle bit, that augmentation, and start looking at what you do and how you can make it better, broader, easier, wider, wilder, the more you're setting yourself up for innovation. It's a little bit like evolution. There's a thing of exposure and time, and you can crunch the time by upping your exposure, but you still need both, and you are more certain to get to innovation looking at those two other areas.
I love that analogy. I haven't heard that before. It's brilliant.
Thank you. So these are the three examples, and and also you can look them up. They're out there. This isn't our own spin on them. This is exactly what happened. So RWS is our automation example, and they are translation services. Their share price has plummeted since the launch of ChatGPT, because so much of what they do can just be done by AI and with really minimal human oversight. I was responsible for training a model for a client that had an element of translation into 10 different European languages, and at the time we were using ChatGPT, and it was incredible level of translation, but we had to have a lot of guardrails because it wasn't perfect. It would translate it literally, but that doesn't mean say you translate the sentiment when you're going language to language. And now that kind of got sorted out within a matter of months. And now it's so easy. And in fact, a number of publications, and I think The Economist is one of them. This is an automated process for them. That's how confident they are in the nuance of the translation that's available to them, which is remarkable. So this company, a new technology came out, ChatGPT, the LLM, and it devastated their company. And then if you go on to the next slide, I can give you the augmentation example. You probably know Grammarly. Quite a lot of people use it. This is an example of augmentation because it's also one of those products that raises the floor, which I think is quite important, because it means everyone can take a step up, whether you're a poor writer, a medium writer, or a good writer. Now, let me explain for those who don't know Grammarly. So it uses AI to suggest better wording, catch errors, and improve tone and style. So you can pick whether you want it to sound professional or casual or academic. It will make sure you don't overuse words, or if you are overusing words, I don't know why I'm pointing to myself when I say that. I do that.
I was wondering.
I really overuse. If you do overuse words, it's deliberate. It's a part of your writing, and it's all sorts of syntax and nuance that is just a really beautiful tool. And I have to say, it's really helpful for people who have certain types of neurodivergency as well. It's a great catch for some of those common mistakes that can be made. And it's all about increasing the quality. So if you're a bad writer, it's going to elevate you. If you're a good writer and you already have a really good sense of tone and a really clear idea about where you're pointing, it can just make you quicker and faster and allow you to explore more things. So that's why it's our augmentation example. Does that all make sense?
No, it totally makes sense. Yeah, and I don't use Grammarly, and I'm not sure why. I think it would be amazing for my brain and my writing.
I found it really helpful, and actually it taught me to a level where I could then where I didn't need to use it as much. So it wasn't just using it to fix something. It actually helped me hard code some things about my own writing. So it kind of left me a better person, left me a better writer, which I think is amazing, because it's a lot of people, and no shade, because we all need to do this to some degree. A lot of people want to offload their thinking to AI, and that's it's fine, but you can't do it for everything, because you start actually losing knowledge and losing skills. And so I guess that's actually the other reason why this augmentation belt in the middle is so valuable, because if you're really intentional about it, it actually helps make you better at what you do, not just being able to offload work for it to be done by an AI.
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree with that. An interesting example came up here a couple of days ago when someone in the team was using AI as a coding assistant, a non-coder, and she said, "Oh, this is amazing what I'm able to do, but I feel like I'm not learning to code.
Yeah, I don't understand what I've done." Yeah.
Yeah, but actually learning is different now, I guess, and so you have to think of it from a different jumping off point, I guess. And it wasn't me that was having this conversation. I heard about this. It was an interesting anecdote, but it's a conversation between two people, and the other person said, actually, you're like, the test of it is like the next time you do that thing, are you going to be able to do it better than you would have done it before you worked with AI? And she was like, oh my God, yeah, definitely. Right. So she is learning, absolutely, but it's different to how you would have done things before. Yeah. So it's another example of that kind of upskilling part of augmentation as well.
Absolutely. And I do think part of my own personal augmentation with AI is that it has helped me change how I learn. I'm someone who always has a couple of courses on the go, and it allows me to, and also I'm neurodivergent, I'm ADHD, I've got ADHD. So there are things that are kind of normally done in academic environments that I found a bit challenging. I can now tweak materials so that I can consume them in the way that I know that I learn best. And that's been incredible level of personalization to be able to put on things.
Yeah, and that is just as powerful in the workplace with continuous learning.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's move on to innovation.
Innovation. Yeah, so Duolingo, the language learning app. ChatGPT, as we saw with RWS, could potentially replace this. Like you could create, with a little bit of effort, you could create your own basic language tutor using ChatGPT. But Duolingo took this foundational technology and created an incredibly unique video chat feature with an AI generated character who you can see looking a bit snide in the example. Don't know, maybe she doesn't like someone's pronunciation. But this use of the technology in Duolingo's very branded way, they didn't just slap GPT into their product. They really worked with it to make it on brand and targeted at users, has been incredibly sticky and has changed the valuation of their company. Users love it. They're finding it easier to learn languages. They're finding that what they learn stays with them longer, and they're more enthusiastic about learning. I don't think there could be a more compelling description of an add-on feature for an app. I don't think that's possible. And again, I'm going to stress this: it's the same underlying technology that tanked RWS has shot Duolingo into a different class.
Yeah, and it'd be so interesting to get into both those organizations and understand like the cultural reasons behind that and the kind of, how they went such different paths.
Well, I think it's, again, and you touched on this earlier, it's being open to doing things differently, and it's not just rushing towards AI thinking, I'm going to be able to do less. It's moving towards AI thinking I'm going to be able to do different.
Yeah, it's like having an expansive mindset rather than like, how do I just speed everything up and kind of, which for me is much more exciting, having that expansive mindset. Yeah. I think you've got one more slide in here, so I'm just going to go forward. Yeah.
I do. So these key themes, as I said, they are very, very useful to have in mind as 3 buckets and thinking about, okay, what can we automate with a view that is just going to become commoditized, but it can take away, quite frankly, really annoying work. Augmentation is really the big space to play in because it's the easiest one to get started and see results. I think it's incredibly satisfying, and you cut your teeth in a way which, first of all, I think is a little bit less risky because it's augmenting yourself. You know what you do. You know what your craft is. You have a much more incisive lens on it. So it's easier to get going, and it's easier to get going and produce things that you can trust because you know what good looks like.
Yeah, exactly. It's so often I hear people going for the things that are most difficult first.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's exciting, but I mean, and I like being very excited and running headlong into things, but you can start thinking about those things. That's cool. Don't let anyone stop you. But it's doing this type of work where you start to get a feel for the rhythms and the flow of AI and what it can do and what it's looked like. So I spent 6 months, bloody hell, it really was 6 months, working 6 days a week, sometimes more, training a model for a project I was doing for a client, and got an award out of it. So you are looking at an award-winning prompt engineer, but it was really immersing myself in the problems that has really given me an incredible knowledge of what AI can do and what it can't do, where you can push boundaries, and even when updates come, they don't feel like, oh, I've got to learn something new. It feels like being on a continuum. And I have to say, I'm going to recognize my extraordinary privilege in working in a sector where I have clients come to me and say, can you do this thing that hasn't been done before? I had deadlines, which is very useful, and somebody paid me to do it. So I was very strongly incentivized to do it. And that's not the case for everyone. So I'm very privileged that I was in that position because that helped accelerate my getting to grips with AI and using it. So that can be culturally managed, but again, it's getting into the weeds and getting into the details that just helps you just start making more leaps, and you start fitting things together in a way that you just can't if you're not messing about with it. At least messing about with it, if not applying it to your work and your tasks and your workflows.
Yeah, exactly. It's that structured experimentation that makes a real difference.
Yeah. And then that third, like, innovation. So this bit is it's specifically for agencies. It's about new service offerings. And we are starting to see, as you rightly said earlier, we are starting to see these emerge. It's very hard just to leap there from a standing start and just get there. Having this structured approach, not thinking that blind, not just thinking that blind experimentation is going to work for you. Agencies often have a mix of different types of people. You have creative people, you have analytical people, you have strategic people, you have detail people, and that's what they need. But kind of everyone's got to be on this train. And I think these things really describe very well. Also, I think they map to risk and opportunity. Automation is a risk if you're not on top of it, and also you don't realize that that's going to take a little slice out of your business. Augmentation, this is, as we said, this is going to be the new normal very, very soon. Not yet, but very, very soon. So it's a risk if you're not doing it. And if you are doing it, there's a lot of opportunity there for not only better work, and sometimes quicker work if that's appropriate, but better work, but also like happier people with more autonomy, people with more power, and breadth in their jobs, all of these things that make a culture so rich and resilient as well. And then innovation is where the big opportunities lie. But again, and I'll go back to the evolution example. I think like you can get to innovation pretty with certainty, but only if you're doing the other things.
Yeah. So if you were an agency leader, an in-house creative leader, a CMO right now, it sounds like you would be going for augmentation first.
I would. I would, because I think it's the easiest place to start. Again, I think again, I've had the privilege on working on large scale transformation projects with people who are way smarter than I am, and I've just seen this map out too many times. Transformation has its best bet of succeeding if A, everyone's along for the ride, and B, if it's structured. Especially with something like AI, it's quite scary to some people. It's exciting to others. There needs to be a measured approach to make sure that you're bringing everyone along with you. And there needs to be a measured approach so that as a business, you're not relying, because look, feelings are an important part. How do people feel about this? But you can't just go, oh, I feel like this is going okay. If you're not, benchmarking and not looking at, okay, this is where I want to be. This is my plan on how to get there. Like, you can have all the intentions in the world, but without a plan, and your plans will change, but without a plan, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, totally. And that brings me really nicely on to the AI accelerator and just explaining what that is. So what EJ you've just been through is a glimpse into a very small part of the AI for Leaders work stream that we run, that EJ often runs. So let me just pop some slides up about, for the next 30 seconds, I'll just chat about what the AI accelerator is holistically. So it's a 3-month program specifically for agencies and in-house teams who really want to lead with AI in the way that EJ's been describing. So we start with leadership, things like defining a clear AI vision, mapping opportunities and risks to specifically tailor to your business, and building out that really structured AI adoption roadmap. And then we go much deeper with each of the teams within the business to help upskill them and learn how to use the tools at the maximum value and learn how to think about AI in that augmentation and then innovation mindset to spot the opportunities and the risks. And then at the end of the 3 months, and I've forgotten to flick through the slides. Hold on, I've kind of gone past that. But at the end of the 3 months, you'll have a vibrant internal task force that takes your AI programs forward beyond that. You have a 12-month roadmap for them to work to. You have deep AI skills within your agency across the different teams, the different roles. You have AI-enabled workflows that we built out with you. Like prompt libraries for each team. You have an AI-forward culture that the then internal team can then take forward, and loads more. I could go through the long list. Anything big I've missed, EJ, on that list?
I don't think so. I just will say it's so exciting every time we start this journey with a new agency. And then when we hear from them at the end, some of the things we've heard from clients, like before they'd even finished the course, they'd made back the money on it in changes on how they run their business, to just feeling like they were in control of AI adoption, and that the hype, it was no longer making them nervous or anxious. They were excited about the future and what they were doing. It's just, it never fails to be really exciting and an incredible journey.
It is, and I think that excitement we feel from our clients and relief, that they're on top of it and they're kind of in control is the most goose-pimply bit for me. Always, it's a wonderful thing. So we're definitely at the end of our half an hour. In fact, we've just gone past it. So EJ, thank you so much. That was really insightful, and I'm sure everyone found the same. Thank you so much. So thanks everyone for joining us today. If you want to learn any more about AI Accelerator, just head over to our website or drop either of us a line as well on here. So see you all soon. Thanks again, EJ.
Bye.
Bye.